I had been a tower of strength for everyone else during a particularly difficult period for our family, but I now realise that I kept nothing for myself. It was a gradual process, but eventually I shut myself away from my usual confidants and focused all my energies on my loved ones who needed me. After all, I couldn't talk about what was happening without crying, so it was just easier not to talk about it at all. It was only when their lives started to adjust to a new kind of normality that it hit me. Now, when I look back at how I felt when my mental health was at rock bottom, I can't believe how much I had deteriorated without even realising it. My symptoms were surprisingly physical, from panic attacks, which left me feel like I was dying, they were awful, to paralysis, which was a terrifying experience. I dreaded going to bed. I was exhausted, but I never felt like I slept. I either seemed to enter a frustrating, semi conscious state where my mind was still racing, or I was having awful nightmares. In the daytime, I couldn't concentrate, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to keep up the facade. I was breaking down in tears, on edge, and irritable. I would obsessively scour the internet looking for an answer and a way of feeling like my old self. But it became obvious that I couldn't do this alone. I didn't have the energy or the clarity of mind. My husband persuaded me to request some counselling through work, which I did. While I didn't feel like it was going to be the solution, it did help me to understand why I was feeling like I was. It came as a complete shock when she said she suspected that I was suffering from PTSD. It made sense when she explained her rationale, but it made me feel like a fraud and weak. After all, it was something experienced following a military trauma or after a horrific attack, not after something that I had been through. She told me I needed more specific treatment, which unfortunately she couldn't offer. The thought of going through the detail of everything again with someone different filled me with dread, so I opted for a course of acupuncture. It helped initially, but the benefits became less noticeable, so I stopped and again sank back into the dark hole that I couldn't find the strength to climb out of. It was only after a chance conversation with a colleague at work that I offloaded my thoughts and feelings. And having struggled with her mental health in the past, she instantly recognised the warning signs and encouraged me to contact my GP. Within just 2 weeks, I had been assessed by a counselling service and offered EMDR, which stands for Eye Movement Desensitisation and Reprocessing Therapy. It was a strange process where my therapist took me back to my traumatic experiences in brief doses while she directed my eye movements with her finger. It was intense, upsetting, and exhausting, but as the sessions progressed, the difficult memories had started to fade in a way that I could think or talk about them without the overwhelming feeling that I was experiencing everything for the first time. And that, for me, was massive progress and a sign that the cloud was eventually beginning to lift. While I have now come to terms with what happened during that period of my life, I am not as strong mentally as I used to be. My level of tolerance before I feel overwhelmed is much less, so I do need to be careful, but medication has helped with this. I'm getting to know my triggers. I know the situations that I need to walk away from. I know it's okay to say no, and I know that there are times when it's okay to be selfish. But most importantly, I always try to remember myself of the analogy that I definitely need to put my own oxygen mask on first before putting everyone else's on. I'm useless to everyone else if I don't look after myself, and that is really key to me being able to continue moving forward like I have been.